So I'm going to do Maigret, and I'm going to do a -A for all sites. I'm going to do a -P to generate a PDF report, and a -T to generate a TXT report. We're going to run it on the email address for the target. So I'm going to do David Habian at yahoo.com. All right, the command has completed. We have our PDF report that has been saved. We have our TXT report that has also been saved. And it does also give us a short text report at the bottom. In this video, we are going to install and use 6 very powerful command line utilities that can be used for OSINT on both usernames and email addresses. Let's go ahead and get started with the video. The first thing that we are going to want to do on our Linux system is to update the repositories. So if you haven't done so already, you're going to want to type the command sudo apt update. That will update your repositories. So after updating the repositories, we are going to want to install Python 3. To install Python 3, you can run the command sudo apt install Python 3. In addition to Python 3, we are also going to want to install a package that is referred to as Python 3 pip. I'm going to do an apt info on this package, and we're going to take a look at the description. So as we can see from the description, pip is the Python package installer, and it also integrates with virtual env, which is something that we are going to install next. So to install this, it's very simple. Type the command sudo apt install python 3-pip. If I run the command apt info on python 3-venv, we'll get back a description, and it says that the venv module provides support for creating lightweight virtual environments with their own site directories, optionally isolated from system site directories. Each virtual environment has its own Python binary, which matches the version of the binary that was used to create this environment, and can have its own independent set of installed Python packages in its site directories. Now, this is very important for what we are doing. Oftentimes, when you are trying to use Python and you have different versions of Python, and you are trying to use pip as well, and you are installing all of these various utilities, you will have dependency conflicts. By installing most of these Python programs within their own virtual environment using Python venv, we can avoid the dependency conflicts. So to install this, simply run the command sudo apt install -y python 3-venv. And lastly, we need to take a look at one more utility that we are going to need to do the installation of some of these programs, and that is pipx. So if I do apt info pipx, we see from the description that this is used to execute binaries from Python packages in isolated environments. Amongst other things, pipx allows you to install packages to isolated virtual environments while globally exposing their CLI applications so you can run them from anywhere. And pipx runs with regular user permissions, never calling sudo pip install, which is something that you typically want to avoid if you are able to. So to install pipx, simply type the command sudo apt install pipx. Once you have installed pipx, you're going to want to run the command pipx ensure path. And now we are ready to begin the installation of our first command line tool that we are going to use for OSINT. The first tool that we are going to install is a tool called Socialscan. I'm going to show you what the GitHub page looks like for Socialscan. And it says here that Socialscan is a Python library for accurately querying username and email usage on online platforms. As of recording of this video, it was updated approximately 9 months ago, so it's still being updated, which is always a good thing. And if we read the section under background, it gives a description of how other similar tools check username availability, and it says that they do so by requesting the profile page of the username in question, and based on information like the HTTP status code or error text on the requested page. And it says that this is a naive approach, and in certain cases it fails. So Socialscan is unique in that it aims to plug these gaps by directly querying the registration servers of the platforms instead, retrieving the appropriate CSRF tokens, headers, and cookies. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to make a directory, and we're going to call it Socialscan. Next, we will cd inside of that directory, and we are now going to use Python 3 to create a virtual environment. So I'll run the command Python 3 -m venv, and then I'm going to give this virtual environment a name that is related to the tool that we are using. So I will call it Socialscan env. Now if I do ls, you will see that we have this virtual environment that has been created using Python 3. Next, I will source the activate file by running the command source on socialscan env /bin/activate. That activates the environment. Now we can install Socialscan, and to do so we will use pip. We'll run the command pip install -U Socialscan. And now we should be able to pull up the help menu for Socialscan. So if I do Socialscan --help, we do get the help menu. So to use Socialscan, it's pretty simple. I can type the command Socialscan and then give it the email address of the target. So I'll do David Habian @yahoo.com. So according to the legend that we have down here, anything that is in green is available, and anything that is in yellow is taken or reserved. We have nothing that is invalid, and we have one error. So we have an error for GitHub. From the results, it appears that the target has an Instagram account. So we can try the -a option, or the long form of that, which is --available -only option, and that will only print usernames or email addresses that are available and not in use. So let's go ahead and give that a try. So I'll rerun that command, Socialscan, with the -a option, and then give it the email address once again of David Habian @yahoo.com. And we get back 4 hits, letting us know that those 4 hits are in fact available. Now that we are done using Socialscan, we can deactivate the virtual environment by running the deactivate command. The next utility that we are going to install is called Maigret, and this is the GitHub page for Maigret. It says that Maigret is used to collect a dossier on a person by username from thousands of sites. This utility was updated approximately 3 months ago. So Maigret collects a dossier on a person by username only, checking for accounts on a huge number of sites and gathering all the available information from web pages. No API keys are required. It's easy to use, and it is a powerful fork of Sherlock. Currently supports more than 3,000 sites. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to make a directory, and we are going to call that directory Maigret. Notice that I am creating this directory from a directory that I have named David and not from the directory of the previous tool that we installed, which was Socialscan. Once I've created the directory, I will cd inside of the Maigret directory, and we will use Python 3 to create a virtual environment, and we will call it Maigret env. Next, I will source the activate file running the command source on Maigret env /bin/activate. Now that I've activated the virtual environment, I can install Maigret, and I will do so by running the command pip install Maigret. Okay, so it has finished installing all the packages, and as you can see, there were a lot of packages that were installed for this utility. Okay, so I'm going to use site filtering. I want to do a -- all sites so that Maigret uses all the sites for the scan. I am also going to do a -- PDF to generate a PDF report. I'm going to do a -- graph to generate a graph report, and I'm going to do a -- txt to create a txt report. So I'm going to type Maigret -- all sites -- PDF -- graph and -- txt. And finally, I will give it the name of the target. And this is going to be a username, not an email address. So I will type that username, which is going to be David Habian, and hit enter. Okay, so after quite some time, the Maigret command that we ran has completed. We do have some errors here down at the bottom, but it still has done plenty of things for us, and in spite of those errors, there's a lot of information that we were able to gather from running this command. And you can see here in yellow that a txt report was generated and saved to the following path inside of the Maigret directory, and also a PDF report was also generated and saved. So if we scroll back up to the top, it started a search on the top 2,802 sites from the Maigret database, and it checked the username on all of those sites. So what it appears like is that if it checks the site and nothing comes back, then it just has a line, such as this line right here. It appears in green. It has a plus character at the front. Then we have these lines in blue with a question mark. But the ones that are of interest are any of the ones that come back with information underneath them. So it looks like maybe these are related to email addresses. We have one here for Gmail, suggesting that a different email address exists for this user at the ending of gmail.com. And if we scroll down, we have a hit coming back for something called Scorcher. Not sure what that is. It appears to be in perhaps Russian, and is showing a link related to Telegram. So that's pretty interesting. Here we have something for PayPal. So the target appears to have a PayPal account, and we have the full name, the username. We even have the payer ID, and it says that the profile status is true for active, and the primary currency is USD. So if I run ls, we have a reports directory. I'll cd inside of that directory. If I do a ls, we have a PDF report and a TXT report. So it appears that the graph report was not generated. Perhaps that's what some of the errors at the bottom were from. If I open up the TXT report, this is what it looks like. And if I open up the PDF report, this is what that looks like. So we have our username search report for the target. It's 28 pages long, so it's pretty thorough. Now this is very good. This is an OSINT command line utility that is doing its job very well. So here is the information that came back for the PayPal account. And inside of this PDF, not only is it giving us all of the various information that we are looking for, but we even have a photo to go with it. So this is very good. This is very good to see. This photo would be very good to perhaps use to do reverse image searches, and we could potentially gather a lot more information from this. So this is a very good thing that we have found. Okay, so this time I'm going to run Maigret with almost the identical syntax, except we're going to use the short form of the options, and we're going to minus the graph option since it did not execute successfully. So I'm going to do Maigret, and I'm going to do a -A for all sites. I'm going to do a -P to generate a PDF report, and a -T to generate a TXT report. Now, this time, instead of running it on the target username, we're going to run it on the email address for the target. So I'm going to do David Habian at yahoo.com. And just as with the first time that we ran this on the username, this will take some time to run. All right, the command has completed. We have our PDF report that has been saved. We have our TXT report that has also been saved. And it does also give us a short text report at the bottom. It tells us that the search by the username of David Habian at yahoo.com returned 130 accounts. We had extended info extracted from one of those accounts. It gives us the list of different countries, and it gives us interest tags such as erotic and dating. If I run the ls command, we once again have the reports directory that we will cd inside of. And now, in addition to the previous reports created for the username search, we have reports that have been created for the email address search. So let's go ahead and take a look at the .txt file. Let's go ahead and open up the report for the .txt file. And pretty straightforward. It's just a list of all of the URLs. Now let's take a look at the PDF. So this is what the PDF looks like. It is 27 pages in length. So for this Scorcher URL, we did get what looks to be like a screenshot or some type of picture from it, but we're not really getting any information from it. There's no face, and none of the other ones have any photos with them. Okay, so now that we have completed our usage of Maigret, we can go ahead and deactivate the virtual environment by running the deactivate command. And we are going to move on to the next tool, and I will cd back into David so that we can begin the installation of the next tool. Okay, so the next tool that we are going to install is called Holehe. This is the GitHub page for Holehe. Holehe is used to check if the email address is being used on different sites like Twitter or Instagram, and will retrieve information on those sites with the forgotten password function. It checks more than 120 different sites. You can install it a couple of different ways. You can install it by using Docker, for example. The methodology should be becoming very familiar to you by now. We are first going to create a directory, and we're going to call that directory Holehe. Next, we will cd inside of that directory, and we're going to use Python 3 to create a virtual environment, and we will call it Holehe env. Next, we will source the activate file by running source Holehe env /bin/activate. Once we have activated the virtual environment, we can install the utility by running the command pip install -U Holehe. The installation has finished. Now we can run the Holehe command. So let's go ahead and pull up the help menu by typing Holehe --help. There are only a few options that we have to choose from. We can save the results to a CSV file by running --CSV. We can also use the --only-used option to display only the sites used by the target email address. Okay, so we're going to run the Holehe command, and we're going to do --CSV to save the results to a CSV file, and we'll give it the email address for the target, which is going to be David Habian at yahoo.com. Okay, so from the results that we get back, we have a legend at the bottom that tells us that anything in green is saying that the email address is in use. Anything in purple with the negative symbol at the front is telling us the email is not in use. And anything that is in red with the X is telling us that there was a rate limit. And for this utility, it seems like you get a lot of results that have been rate limited. So let's scroll back up to the top and see what we have. So we're looking for anything in green, and we have a couple hits. So it appears that the target has an account with Pornhub. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that website, though most probably don't have accounts on it. The target also has a Spotify account, which might suggest that the target is interested in music or perhaps a creator of music. And finally, we also have an account for another porn site called xvideos.com. 121 websites were checked, and it took 13.3 seconds, which is pretty fast. We have this CSV file that has been created. So we'll go ahead and open that up and see what that looks like. And there we go. Okay, so I'm not going to save the results to a file, but we're going to rerun the command, and we're going to do the option of --only-used to show us only the accounts that are in use by the target. That took approximately 13 seconds, and we get back those 3 hits, 2 of them porn and 1 of them related to music. Now that we are done running Holehe, we can deactivate the virtual environment by running the deactivate command. I'm going to cd back into the David directory, and we will begin the installation of the next tool. Okay, the next tool that we're going to look at is called Blackbird. Here is the GitHub page for that utility. And it says that Blackbird is an OSINT tool used to search for accounts by username and email in social networks. First thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a directory and call that directory Blackbird. cd inside of Blackbird. Now this is going to be slightly different than the installation of the previous tools, because first we are going to do a git clone. So I'll do a git clone of the GitHub page for Blackbird. Links will be in the description for all of these utilities. Next, I will cd into the Blackbird directory. Next thing I will do is use Python 3 to create a virtual environment, and I will call that virtual environment Blackbird env. Now we will activate the virtual environment by running the command source on Blackbird env/bin/activate. Now we can install all of the requirements for Blackbird by running the command pip install -r requirements.txt. After all of the requirements have been installed, we can go ahead and pull up the help menu by running Python 3 blackbird.py-h. Similar to some of the previous tools, we have the options to generate a CSV file from the results as well as a PDF file. We can do some additional things such as do --permute to permute the usernames, which could be incredibly handy for us. We can also give it a username file and have Blackbird be ran on all of the usernames inside of the file instead of just one username. And most importantly, we can use Blackbird to search not only for usernames, but also by email address. Okay, so let's try out Blackbird. We're going to run the command Python 3 blackbird.py, and we're going to do --username and give it the username of the target, which is David Habian. We will do --csv to save the results to a CSV file, as well as --pdf to save the results to a PDF file. Okay, so that command took approximately 65 seconds for it to complete, and it ran checks on 644 sites. We can see that the results were saved to the CSV file as well as the PDF file. And we got back 3 hits for the enumerated accounts with the target username. And those 3 accounts are Pinterest, Smule, and TikTok. So of all the tools that we have run thus far, this is the first time that we are getting back a hit for TikTok. So I would say that this has been a success. So if I run the ls command, we can see we have a directory that has been created called results. And inside of that directory, we have another directory that has been created. So let's go ahead and cd into results and then cd into the next directory. And if I do a ls, we have a CSV file the PDF, and we also have a directory for images, but I don't think we're going to get any images back from this. And no, we do not have any images, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and take a look at the CSV file. And pretty simple, that's what that looks like. Now let's open up the PDF and take a look at that. Very simple as well, just one page. Nonetheless, it is very nice to have the option to generate a PDF. We get the date that this was created on, which is October 1st, 2024. And it even has a logo up in the upper left for Blackbird. Okay, so now that we have finished doing the username search, let's go ahead and do a search for the target's email address. First, let me cd back into the Blackbird directory, and I have to go into the Blackbird directory with the lowercase b. That's a little confusing, but that's okay. All right, so let's run this command. We're going to do Python 3 blackbird.py, and we're going to do a -- email option, and then provide it with the target's email address, which is davidhabian at yahoo.com. And this time, I only want to generate a PDF report from this. I'm going to pass on the CSV report. So I'll do -- PDF, and we will hit enter. That was very quick. It took approximately 1 second. It checked 16 sites, and we have 3 hits that have come back from that. So one is for Spotify, which, if you remember, we received a hit back from that using a previous utility. And we have also received a hit for Xvideos, which we received a hit for that as well from a previous utility. So that's great confirmation. Clearly the target is into porn, as we have multiple accounts that have been created on porn websites. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDF. So I'll cd into results and into the directory that has been created for the email search. And if I do ls, once again, we have an images directory. Let's go ahead and check it. And there's nothing. Let's open up the PDF. Very simple, 1 page, that's it. Not much there. All right. We can deactivate the virtual environment by running the deactivate command. And I will cd back into the David directory. Great, now we can begin the installation of the next tool. Okay, so for our next utility, we are going to be installing Sherlock. Sherlock is a well-known command line utility that is used to hunt down social media accounts by username across various social networks. This is the GitHub page for Sherlock. We have various ways to install this, such as by using Docker, by using our apt repository, and by using the method that we are going to use in this video, which is using pipx. First thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a directory using the mkdir command. We will call that directory, yep, you guessed it, Sherlock. cd into Sherlock. Next, we will use Python 3 to create a virtual environment, and we will call that virtual environment Sherlock env. Activate the virtual environment by running the source command on Sherlock env /bin/activate. Now that we have created the virtual environment, we can install Sherlock by running the command pipx install Sherlock-project. The installation has completed, so let's go ahead and pull up the help menu for Sherlock by typing Sherlock -- help. We have a nice lengthy menu full of various options. One of the unique things with Sherlock is it even gives us options to make requests over Tor, even allowing you to make a request over Tor with a new Tor circuit after each request. You can save the results to a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, make requests through a proxy, and even attempt to browse to all of the results inside of your default browser. Okay, so let's go ahead and run Sherlock on the target username of David Habian. We're going to save the results to a CSV file, and we're going to do a -O for the file to output the results to, and we will call it davidhabian.csv. Okay, so the command has completed successfully, and we have 20 different results that appear to have been found. Some of those results include an account for Venmo, once again an account for Spotify, and even an account for Hack the Box. So maybe our target is a hacker. So if I run the ls command, we do have a CSV file that has been created. We actually have two. So I'm going to take a guess and say that -O that I put in was unnecessary. That may have been a mistake on my part. Let's go ahead and take a look to see if there's any differences in the length of these files. That's 21 lines long, and the other one is also 21 lines long. So they appear to be the same. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of them, and pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and take a look at the davidhabian.csv file in all lowercase. So I'll do nano on that CSV file to open it up, and we see that there actually is a difference. So this is the CSV file, and you can see how it is organized with the commas separating things, the comma being used as the delimiter. So I think what I did is when I did the -O, I named the file with the .csv file extension when in reality it was just an ASCII text file, and that was my mistake. So this first one is the CSV file, and this second one is just a regular file with ASCII text inside of it. And I can actually do the file command on both of those files ending in .csv. We see that this one is the CSV file, whereas this one is just ASCII text. So that's a small mistake on my part. Now I'm interested in running this in two more ways. There was a --print all option to output sites where the username was not found. So I want to see what that looks like. So I'm going to rerun the Sherlock command. We're going to give it the target username. We're not going to save it to a file, but we're going to do --print -all. Okay, so the search has completed. Let's go back up to the top and take a look at the results from the top down. I kind of prefer using this option now that I see what the results look like. So we have the negative sign over here on the left saying that the username was not found on this particular site. Then we also have the negative sign with this error connecting, clearly letting us know that it was not even able to connect to the site. And then we have hits that come back with the plus sign, letting us know it did find a profile for the user on this particular site. And then it gives you the URL of the site. I like that we can see all of the sites that it attempted to search for the user on. Looks like we have found a hit for Reddit. Okay, now I am interested in running this command with one more option, and that is the -- browse option, and that will browse to all of the results inside of the default web browser. So let's go ahead and see if we're able to execute this command successfully. We will do Sherlock, give it the username of the target, which is David Habian, and do -- browse. The web browser has opened up and it is in fact navigating to the URLs. Though we are not getting hits back on some of them, so we didn't get anything back for the 8 tracks radio, but we do get something back for academia. And once again, we have a profile picture. So this is great. This is showing you that this tool, it works, and it works pretty effectively. You're getting positive results back, and whenever you get something back that also has a picture for the profile, you know that it is working properly. Okay, so we have additional URLs being populated inside of the web browser. Let's go ahead and check out some of these. So we have something here for Venmo. It says Little Cowboy Music. Okay, so this is very interesting. So we may have actually found a nickname or an alias related to our target user, and that alias is Little Cowboy. These results are very good. We don't have anything for this site, nothing for Strava. It appears we have a profile for Spotify, but there's not much here at all. We have something for Shmuel, but there's nothing here. Perhaps a shadow account of sorts. We've been blocked by Reddit. Here's something called Product Hunt, but we're not seeing anything. Nitro Type, once again, not getting any results. Nothing for lightchess.org. Nothing there. This one is asking us for verification. This one returned results in JSON. Nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Here's the Hack the Box site, but there's nothing else there. Nothing. Nothing. I would say this hit for the academia as well as the one for Venmo were probably our 2 best results that we got from this utility. And I would say that that was a success. Okay, so with that being said, we can go ahead and deactivate our virtual environment, and we will cd back into the David directory. And we are going to begin with the installation of our final tool. Okay, so we are now going to take a look at our last utility. The utility that we are looking at now is called Email to Phone Number. This is the GitHub page for this utility, and this is an OSINT tool that is used to obtain a target's phone number just by having his email address. Now, this hasn't been updated in 2 years, but it still has functionality, and it is worth taking a look at. Okay, so this tool helps to automate the process of discovering someone's phone number by abusing password reset design weaknesses and publicly available data. It supports 3 main functions. Those 3 functions are the scrape function, the generate function, and the brute force function. Let's go back to the command line. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to clone the repository. The link will be in the description. So I'll do a git clone on the following URL. Next, I will cd into email to phone number, and we will now create a virtual environment using Python 3. I will call that virtual environment email to phone -env. Next, we will activate the virtual environment by typing the command source email to phone env/bin/activate. Once the virtual environment has been activated, we can install all of the requirements by running the command pip install -r requirements.txt. After all of the requirements have been installed, we can go ahead and pull up the help menu by typing Python 3 email to phone number.py and finally a -h. This is what the help menu looks like. It's very simple. We have 3 positional arguments: scrape, generate, and brute force. So the first thing that we will attempt to do is to scrape online services for the phone number of the target. To do this, we will run the command Python 3 email to phone number.py, followed by the positional argument of scrape, and providing it with the email address of the target, which is David Habian at yahoo.com. Now I do get an error saying the following requirements are required, which is a -e, and that confuses me because I didn't see that anywhere in the help menu. But come to find out that you can pull up additional help options for each positional argument. So if I do Python 3 email to phone number.py and then give it the positional argument of scrape and then do a -h, it will pull up those additional options. And we do in fact see that there is a -e option for the victim's email address. So let me go ahead and try that again. I will do Python 3 email to phone number.py, scrape, and then a -e and give it the email address of David Habian at yahoo.com. Now, unfortunately, this does air out for me. This can be a little challenging. I have been able to get it to work at times, and then other times it just does not work. It may help to shut off any VPN if you have a VPN running, but even though we're not able to get this command to execute properly, it is still worth using, and let me show you why. So if I pull up the help menu again by doing Python 3 email to phone number.py and doing the -h, we have the next positional argument, which is generate. And this is pretty interesting. So even though we were not able to successfully scrape, you can still successfully generate valid phone numbers based on a partial phone number that you may have been able to find. So let me show you an example of that. So if I do Python 3 email to phone number.py and give it the positional argument of generate, followed by a -h, we'll pull up the help menu for this particular positional argument. It tells us that we have to do a -m for mask and give it a masked 10-digit US phone number, as in the following example. And we see that 3 of those digits have been replaced by X's. So in this example, they have been able to come up with a partial phone number, but these 3 digits are unknown. So based off of this example, let's go ahead and run the following command. We will do Python 3 email to phone number.py, generate, and then give it a -m, and then we're going to give it a partial phone number. That phone number is going to be 440XXX for the 3 digits that we do not know, followed by the last 4 digits of the phone number, which will be 1421. And then we will hit enter. And here are our results. So what we have, we scroll back up to the top, we have a NANPA file that is updated and then downloaded. Once it is downloaded, the results come back and there are 721 possible numbers that are derived from giving it this mask. And as you can see, here are all the numbers. It's worth showing this utility because it's going to be incredibly useful if you find a partial phone number in your OSINT and need to come up with other additional combinations that would actually be in use. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, post a comment, and stay fresh.